Have you ever been in the middle of a noisy crowd at a class reunion, a busy coffee shop, or even a family meal, and suddenly had a very strange feeling? You are completely isolated from that world. You see them laughing and talking. You see their lips moving, but you don't feel any connection, as if an invisible, meter-thick glass is separating you from the rest of humanity. You look directly into their eyes, and instead of seeing a profound soul, you only see repetitive scenarios and empty, superficial questions. How much do you earn? When are you getting married? What kind of work do you do? And then, a chilling question creeps into your mind. A question you've never dared to ask out loud for fear of being called unstable. Are these people really existing in the same way as I am? Or are they simply background NPCs, pre-programmed to fill their world? Listen to me slowly. You're not crazy, and you're absolutely not alone. Part 1. The glitch in the Matrix. I felt that overwhelming sense of loneliness. It feels like the whole world is a staged, artificial theater, where you are the only audience member. Don't dismiss it too quickly. Don't think you're depressed. That feeling of unfamiliarity isn't pathological, it's a signal. You're starting to see cracks in the matrix, because neuroscience and quantum physics are beginning to prove a truth that will send chills down your spine. Welcome to the most brutal yet greatest truth of the universe, the NPC hypothesis and the solitude of God. But I must warn you beforehand, this is not an entertainment video. This is a mental surgery. For the next 50 minutes, I won't be putting you to sleep. I will lead you through the hell of absolute solitude, peeling back the layers of falsehood in physical reality. And only at the very last moment will I give you the golden key to liberation. Why do you absolutely have to watch until the very last second? Because if you stop halfway, you'll get stuck in nothingness. But if you complete this journey, you will receive the ultimate gift. You will understand why God chose separation. You will no longer see the world as a stranger. You will transform loneliness into the boundless power of the Creator. So I ask you, are you ready to take the red pill? If you are finding value in this journey toward awakening, subscribe to Quantum Files Awakening now. Your support helps us bring these deep truths to the world. Now take a deep breath and put on your earphones right away. We are about to step to the other side of the mirror. The rendering engine of existence. We've just stepped to the other side of the mirror, and from this moment on, I don't need you to believe me. I just need you to observe. Tomorrow morning, as you wheel your bike out of the house, as you stop to buy a loaf of bread, as you stand waiting at a red light amidst a dense crowd, take a good look at the strangers around you. They appear, they perform a single action that directly relates to you, and then they disappear from your sight. And the unavoidable question is, where are they going? Will they really go back home and continue living a life full of thoughts, worries, and anxieties, just like you do every day? Or perhaps, the moment they disappear from your sight, the universe ceases to sustain their presence. It's not that they disappeared, but rather that they're no longer relevant to your experience. In the tech industry, this is a standard optimization. No system could display an entire city at once. It only displays what is within the field of view of the person experiencing it. What's behind you doesn't exist in visual form. Streets you've never walked down exist only as waiting data. If this hypothesis is correct, then you are not a random person. You are at the center of this experience. You are the only one who can have an inner dialogue. You are the only one who fully experiences the pain, the fear, the longing, and the questions about existence. What about the billions of people out there? They operate, they respond. They appear when needed, but they don't control the narrative. They're like extras. They exist to create social context, to make the world seem crowded, to give your experience impact and depth. But as soon as they leave your frame of mind, they are no longer a priority to retain. The script of the puppets. Observe how people communicate with each other in this era. Did you notice? It's increasingly resembling a pre-programmed scenario. How many times have you walked into a conversation and known exactly what the other person would say next? Hi, how are you? I'm fine, and you? Things have been normal at work lately. Every question, every answer was predetermined. No need to think, no need to be present, just activate the right line. It's no longer a conversation, it's a script being executed. It's like two machines performing a ritual of mutual validation, rather than high human beings truly connecting on a spiritual level. Sometimes I wonder if, in the middle of a conversation, I suddenly said something completely nonsensical, like a purple elephant is flying on the ceiling. Would the other person actually notice anything unusual? Or will they still nod, smile, and respond with a pre-programmed phrase? We are living in the era of human personification. These individuals function as background characters, repeating the same behaviors and emotions that are socially acceptable. Look at the trends: millions of people dancing the same dance, lip-syncing the same song, making the same facial expressions. Is this still free will? Or is it simply a mechanism for controlling collective behavior, where crowds move according to invisible signals? Truman Syndrome, the directed life. There is a real psychological phenomenon called Truman Syndrome. You feel like the troubles, challenges, and events in your life are all perfectly orchestrated. You just decided to save money, and immediately your car breaks down. You've just decided to forget your ex, and right then, the song that holds special memories for you both starts playing on the radio. You need a sign, and then a line of text on a billboard catches your eye. These coincidences occur with such frequency that they no longer resemble randomness. It's as if an invisible hand, a director, or a programmer is directly interfering with the source code of reality. It's not meant to destroy you, but to push your story forward, to force you to ask questions. But if the whole world is a stage set up for your growth, then who are those other people? What is their real role? Are they people living their own lives? Or are they the key characters who appear at the right moment to trigger a turning point in your journey? But what if I told you that the solidity of the world you see is also a lie? That even when you touch someone, you aren't actually touching them. We are about to enter the second level, where science reveals the terrifying emptiness of matter. Part 2. The biological cockpit. The illusion of contact, the great repulsion. In the previous section, we talked about vague feelings and psychological cracks. But feelings can be wrong. You might think your intuition is just a byproduct of fatigue or a creative mind. So, at this level, we no longer use our emotions. We will use a colder, more precise and more ruthless language, physics. I want you to do one thing right now. Raise your hands in front of your face. Touch your two fingers together. Press down firmly. What do you feel? You feel the firmness, the pressure, the warmth of the flesh. You are certain beyond any doubt that one finger is touching the other. Right. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you this. You've been tricked. Throughout your entire life, from the moment you were born until this very second, you have never truly touched anything. If we were to magnify your finger under an electron microscope, what would you see? You see no meat, no skin, no bone. You see clouds of vibrating energy. Basic physics states that all matter is made of atoms. At the center is the nucleus, surrounded by layers of negatively charged electrons. And there is an immutable rule of the universe, like charges repel each other. When you bring your finger close to a table, or to the face of a person you love, billions upon billions of electrons in your hand are pushing billions upon billions of electrons in their skin away with an enormous electromagnetic force. What you call touch is actually a repulsion. It's the resistance from energy fields. From a technical and physical standpoint, there will always be a distance between you and the world. An extremely small distance, about 1/1000th of a meter, but it was never zero. Think about your first kiss. Think about the tightest hug you've ever given. Was that connection? No. Between those two lips, there remained an eternal vacuum. You are not sitting on your chair. You are floating above it on a cushion of electromagnetic propulsion. You are like a ghost passing through this life, without ever truly merging with matter. Why did the Matrix design reality this way? Is this a reminder that in this physical realm, separation is the only law? The biological cockpit, the liar in the dark. The deception of touch is just the beginning. Now let's talk about the greatest liar in this entire system, your eyes. Look around the room you're sitting in right now. You see vibrant colors, the soft glow of the screen, the furniture, the walls. Everything looks so clear, so vivid, as if you were looking directly into the world. But here is the truth that will keep you awake tonight. There is not a single ray of light inside your skull. Your skull is a sealed room made of bone, pitch black, wet and cramped. Your brain is trapped in that perpetual darkness. It has never seen the sun. It has never seen the color blue. It has never seen your mother's smile. It has never seen the world. It is completely isolated. So, where does the image you're seeing come from? The answer is as cold as ice. It is a rendering. Your brain is a lone engineer sitting in a dark bunker, receiving nothing but electrical pulses. Your eyes are not windows. They are sensors that capture light photons and transform them into electrochemical signals. These beeps and zaps travel through the optic nerve into the darkness. And then your brain starts to work. It says, this signal means red, this signal means a circle, this signal means movement. And boom. It projects a high-definition movie called reality onto the screen of your consciousness. You never see the world as it truly is. You only see the world as your brain interprets it. You are living in a biological cockpit, wearing a virtual reality headset made of flesh and bone. If your brain can create vivid, lifelike dreams while you sleep where you see colors, feel fear, and believe everything is real, how can you be sure that this waking reality isn't just another dream? Perhaps it's just a more stable simulation, one with a stronger retention system designed to make it harder for you to escape. The rendering engine of the universe. You might argue, even if I don't touch it, even if my brain is just a projector, that glass of water in front of me is still there. It remains there whether I look at it or not. Are you sure? Because this is where we enter the forbidden territory of science. This is where quantum physics begins to speak, and your everyday logic falls apart. If you've ever played an open-world video game, you understand a basic principle of optimization. A computer can never draw the entire world at once. The system would crash. Instead, it only renders what the main character is looking at. The buildings behind you don't exist as images. They only exist as pending data. The moment you turn your head, the system quickly draws them into existence. The frightening thing is, our universe operates exactly like that. Consider the most haunting experiment in the history of physics, the Double-Slit Experiment. Scientists found that when no one is watching, tiny particles of matter behave like waves. They are everywhere at once. They exist as a cloud of probability. But the moment a device is placed to observe them, boom, the probability cloud collapses. The particle immediately behaves like a solid object. It chooses a single position. What does this mean? It means that the fundamental building blocks of the universe do not remain fixed when no one is looking. When unobserved, they are not objects, they are just possibilities. Only when a conscious observer looks does the universe feel compelled to choose a form. It's as if the universe only turns on its screen when it knows someone is watching. One of the greatest physicists of the 20th century concluded, "The universe doesn't exist in isolation out there. We are participants in its creation." Is the moon really in the sky when you're not looking at it? Or does it revert to a probabilistic state, waiting for your eyes to render it back into shape? If this is true, you are not a tiny creature lost in a vast universe. You are the trigger. You are the reason this universe appears at all. The physical world is just a screen, and that screen only displays images because you are watching. Don't turn away now. We have only just scratched the surface of the simulation. In the next part, we will look at the mathematical probability that you are living in a programmed reality, and the shocking reason why the world's most powerful tech leaders believe we are in a game. Part 3. The simulation proof decrypting the source code. Science has brought us to the door of truth. We've seen that matter is a ghost, and that our eyes are merely cameras in a dark room. But perhaps you're still skeptical. Perhaps you think this is just a philosophical game. So let's move away from intuition and look at the numbers. Let's look at the cold, hard logic of computer science and probability. In 2003, Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at Oxford University, published a paper that shook the foundations of how we perceive existence. He didn't use ancient scrolls or spiritual visions. He used logic. He presented what is now known as the simulation trilemma. Bostrom argued that at least one of the following three statements is almost certainly true. First, human civilizations will go extinct before reaching a post-human stage capable of running high-fidelity ancestor simulations. Second, post-human civilizations will have no interest in running such simulations. Or third, we are almost certainly living in a simulation. Let's break that down. Look at the history of technology. Only 50 years ago, we had Pong, two white rectangles and a dot on a black screen. It was the pinnacle of gaming. Today, 50 years later, we have photorealistic, massive multiplayer online worlds. We have virtual reality that can trick your brain into feeling vertigo. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, even if it's just 0.1% a year, then games will eventually become indistinguishable from reality. They will be so complex that the characters inside the game will have their own artificial intelligence. They will have memory, emotions, and eventually consciousness. Now ask yourself, once a civilization reaches that level, will they stop at one simulation? No. They will run thousands, millions, even billions of them. They will simulate every possible version of history. Mathematically, this leads to a chilling conclusion. There is only one base reality, the original world. But there are billions of simulated realities. If you are a conscious being looking around and wondering where you are, what are the odds that you are in that one single original world versus the billions of simulations? As Elon Musk famously put it, the odds that we are in base reality is 1 in billions. The glitches in the code. If we are living in a simulation, there must be optimization rules. In computer science, we don't render what isn't being used. We've already seen this in the Double-Slit Experiment. The universe only renders the particle when an observer looks at it. This isn't just a metaphor. It's a direct match to how we build video games today. Think about the speed of light. Why is it 299,792,458 meters per second? Why can nothing go faster? In a physical, infinite universe, a speed limit makes no sense. But in a simulation, it's a necessity. It is the hardware limit of the processor. It is the maximum speed at which information can travel through the grid of our reality. Think about Planck length, the smallest possible measurement of space. If you go smaller than that, physics breaks down. Why? Because the universe is pixelated. It isn't a continuous smooth surface. It is a grid of data. Just like if you zoom in far enough on a beautiful digital image, you eventually see the square pixels that make it up. Our reality has a resolution. The programmer's intention. This leads us to the most uncomfortable question of the third level. If this world is a grand simulation program, then who wrote it? Is it an alien civilization, a futuristic version of humanity studying their past? Or is it an artificial intelligence that has outlived its creators? Many of the world's most powerful tech leaders are obsessed with this. Some are even reportedly funding scientists to find a way to break out of the simulation. But why would you want to leave? If the simulation is perfect, the outside might be even more terrifying or, worse, completely empty. But here is where science stops and the soul begins to ache. If we are just code, then our suffering, our love, and our deaths are just variables in an equation. It makes the universe feel cold. It makes your life feel like a data point in a giant experiment. You feel it, don't you? That resistance. Your heart doesn't want to believe you are just a sim. You feel there is something more real about your pain, something more eternal about your love. And you are right. Science has shown us the what and the how. It has shown us the machinery of the matrix. But it cannot answer the why. Why would an entity powerful enough to build a universe choose to put you in it? Why would a programmer confine themselves to such a limited, often painful and lonely game? To answer that, we must leave the cold math of the simulation behind. We must go beyond the pixels and the speed limits. We are about to ascend to the fourth level, the chamber of the Creator. We are going to meet the programmer. And I warn you, this encounter will change how you look at every person you meet for the Con-L letter 1EA1I of your life. Imagine you are God. You have everything. You know everything. You are everywhere. But in that perfection, you discover a curse more terrifying than death. The curse of absolute boredom. To escape it, you had to do something brave. You had to forget who you are. Part 4. The Prison of Omnipotence: Why God Chose Suffering. Science stops at the door of the simulation. It may tell us that this world is not what it seems, but science, with all its cold precision, cannot answer the question that truly matters. Not the question of the mind, but the question that aches deep within our chest. Why? Why would an all-powerful entity, whether you call it God, the source, or the programmer, create a world full of suffering, separation, disease, and tears? If you had the power to write the code of reality, why not create an eternal paradise? Why is there cancer? Why is there war? Why is there the crushing weight of loneliness? To reach this answer, we must leave the laboratory. We must set aside the formulas and go back in time to before the Earth existed, before the Big Bang, before even time itself. Welcome to the chamber of the Creator. The curse of perfection. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you are God. Not an old man on a cloud, but the first and only consciousness. Before the universe was born, there was only you. You are the one. You are everything. In that state, you are omnipotent. You snap your fingers and galaxies form. You breathe out and life appears. Nothing is impossible. In that state, you are omniscient. You know every past. You know every future. You know every possibility. No secret is hidden from you. In that state, you are omnipresent. You are everywhere at once. It sounds like the ultimate dream, doesn't it? We spend our human lives craving that power, wanting to know the lottery numbers, wanting to control our destiny, wanting to be immortal. But hold on to that state of perfection for 1 billion years. 1 billion years. And a terrifying truth emerges. Omnipotence is a prison. Imagine playing a game of chess against yourself. You know exactly what the white pieces will do. You know exactly how the black pieces will respond. The outcome is decided before you even touch a pawn. Is that a game? No. It's a chore. Imagine watching a movie where you are the director, the screenwriter, the actor, and every single person in the audience. You know every line, every twist, every jump scare. That movie doesn't make you cry. It doesn't make your heart race, because there is no surprise. There is no becoming. There is only being. A perfect God who knows everything and can do everything is, essentially, a dead God. He is trapped in his own eternal stillness. And in that stillness, God faces the only enemy that can truly defeat him. Not a devil, not a rival, but absolute boredom. Alan Watts in The Dream of Life. The philosopher Alan Watts once presented a beautiful thought experiment to explain how God escapes this boredom. Let's say that tonight, when you go to sleep, you could dream any dream you wanted. And more than that, you could bend time. An 8-hour sleep in the physical world could last 75 years in your dream. What would you dream on the first night? Naturally, you would dream of pleasure. You are the richest person on earth. You live in a golden castle. You enjoy every luxury, every desire. You snap your fingers and your wishes come true. You wake up and think, that was amazing. On the second night, you do it again. More money, more power, more lust. But after 100 nights of this, something changes. You start to get tired of the perfection. The ease of it all starts to make you feel sick. You know you're going to win every game, and suddenly, the winning doesn't feel like anything at all. So on the 101st night you say, tonight, I want a surprise. I want a dream that I no longer have complete control over. I want a challenge. You dream you are a knight fighting a dragon. You might get hurt. You might feel pain. And when you finally slay the dragon, the victory feels 1,000 times stronger because there was a risk of failure. You become bolder. Night after night, you walk into increasingly difficult scenarios. You say, tonight, I want to dream a dream where I completely forget who I am. I want to forget that I am the one dreaming. I want to believe it's all real. You want to experience the thrill of being chased. You want to feel the heartbreak of a lover leaving you. You want to feel the desperation of being on the verge of bankruptcy. Why? Because only when the suffering is real can the joy of overcoming it be real. Only when the darkness is real can the light truly shine. And so, after billions of nights of dreaming, you eventually dream the dream of being you. The voluntary limitation. You understand. Life is right here, right now. The unpaid bills, the nagging backache, the recent breakup, the feeling of loneliness in the city. All of that is not a punishment. No one is tormenting you. You, as the creator, chose this. You selected the difficulty level as hard mode. You chose to forget your power so that you could escape the boredom of eternity. You wanted to experience life in its most intense, authentic way. You are not a victim of life. You are its author, living out your 1 billionth nighttime dream. But why the loneliness? Why did you make yourself feel so small and isolated? There is a reason even more profound than boredom. It is the primal desire for connection. When you are the one, you cannot love. Love requires two subjects, a lover and the beloved. If you are everything, you cannot truly embrace yourself. You cannot look into your own eyes and feel the vibration of a soul. To experience love, God had to create the other. But since there is no material in the universe except for God himself, he had to do the bravest, most painful act in existence. He had to tear himself apart. The Big Bang wasn't an explosion of matter. It was an explosion of consciousness. In the next part, we will explore the great fragmentation, how you became the beggar on the street, the billionaire on TV, and even the person who broke your heart. Part 5. The Great Fragmentation, the Cosmic Hide-and-Seek. We have arrived at the most brave, most tragic, and most beautiful moment in the history of existence. In the previous section, we understood why a perfect, all-powerful God would choose to dream. But how does one being become billions? How does the one become the many? Physicists look at the night sky and see the Big Bang, a massive explosion of matter and energy 13.8 billion years ago. They see galaxies flying apart, stars forming from dust, and the expansion of space-time. But from the perspective of the awakening, they are only seeing the physical shadow of a spiritual event. The Big Bang wasn't an explosion of dead matter. It was the explosion of consciousness. The shattered mirror. Imagine a single, perfect diamond, glowing with infinite light. This diamond is the original mind. But as we've discussed, this mind was lonely. It wanted to see itself, to love itself, to experience itself from the outside. But there was no outside. So the diamond shattered. It didn't break into useless dust. It shattered into billions upon billions of tiny, brilliant fragments. Each fragment carries the full light of the original diamond, but each fragment is now facing a different direction. Each fragment has a different shape. Each fragment thinks it is a separate piece. This is you. This is me. This is the person sitting next to you on the bus. We are the shards of a shattered God, scattered across the darkness of space and time. Why did he do it? To play a game called cosmic hide-and-seek. Think about the joy of a child playing hide-and-seek. The thrill isn't in staying hidden forever. The thrill is in the moment of being found. God wanted to hide from himself so well that the reunion would be the ultimate ecstasy. He wanted to meet himself as a stranger. He wanted to look into a pair of eyes and feel the shock of recognition. Oh, it's you. It was always you. The masks of God. To make this game work, God had to take on countless different forms. He had to experience every possible vibration of existence. One fragment became a king, to know the weight of a crown. One fragment became a beggar, to know the sting of cold and hunger. One fragment became a mother, to know the fierce protection of a heartbeat. One fragment became a soldier, to know the terror of the battlefield. But here is the part that is hard to hear. One fragment also became the villain. One fragment became the thief. One fragment became the person who caused you the most pain in your life. Why? Because if God only played the good roles, the game would be predictable. To truly understand the light, he had to immerse himself in the deepest shadows. Every human life is a unique vantage point from which the universe observes itself. When you look at a stranger, you aren't looking at a different soul. You are looking at the same soul in a different costume, with a different set of memories, playing a different level of the game. The entanglement of souls. In quantum physics, there is a phenomenon called quantum entanglement. When two particles are entangled, they remain connected across any distance. If you change the state of one, the other changes instantly, even if they are on opposite sides of the galaxy. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. But it's not spooky if you realize they were never truly separate. They are 2 points on the same silk thread. We are all quantumly entangled because we all originated from the same singularity of consciousness. This is why you feel a resonance with certain people. This is why you feel a pang of sorrow when you see a child crying on the other side of the world. Your source code remembers that their pain is your pain. But the Matrix has a very powerful firewall to keep this secret. It's called the ego. The ego is the program that tells you, I am this body, I am this name, I am this story, and everyone else is an obstacle or a tool. The ego is the blindfold God puts on, so he can truly get lost in the game. Without the ego, there would be no drama, no stakes, and no hide and seek. But you are reading this. You are listening to this because your blindfold is starting to slip. You are starting to see through the costume of the person in the mirror. The pain of separation. This fragmentation is why you feel that deep, existential loneliness we talked about in part 1. It is not because you are a loser or antisocial. It is God's homesickness. It is the fragment of the diamond, remembering the warmth of being the whole. It is the deep, subconscious longing to return to the unity, to stop the game and to just be again. But don't rush the end of the movie. You are here for a reason. You chose this specific fragment, this specific you, because there is a lesson here that can only be learned in this skin. However, to make the game truly real, there is one final, cruel rule that God had to impose upon himself. A rule that makes life feel like life and death feel like death. It is the veil of oblivion. In the next part, we will explore why you had to forget everything to remember who you are. Part 6. The Veil of Oblivion, the Gift of Ignorance. The story of the shattered mirror leaves us with a burning question. If you, the person listening to my voice, are actually a fragment of the divine, if you are the one who dreamed this entire universe into existence, then why don't you remember? Why do you feel so small, so confused, and so vulnerable? The answer is both cruel and beautiful. You have to forget. It is the mandatory rule of the game. Imagine you are the greatest actor in the world. You have been cast to play the role of Hamlet. You want to give the performance of a lifetime. You want the audience to feel your every pang of grief, your every moment of madness. But if, while you are on stage, you are constantly thinking, I'm actually a famous movie star. After this scene, I'm going to my mansion and eating lobster. This sword isn't real and this blood is just corn syrup. Then your performance is hollow. You aren't living the role. You are just reciting lines. The audience won't cry, and you won't grow as an artist. To truly be Hamlet, you must for the duration of the play believe that your father was murdered. You must believe that your world is falling apart. You must forget the actor to become the character. God is the ultimate actor, and upon entering your body, he drank the soup of oblivion. In Western mythology, they called it the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. In Eastern traditions, it is the soup of Grandmother Meng. Regardless of the name, the function is the same, a total system reset. The necessity of the reset. Why is this forgetfulness a gift? Because without it, the stakes of the game would be zero. Think about playing a high-stakes poker game. If you knew for a fact that the money you were betting was just play money, and that you had an infinite supply in your bank account, would your heart race when you bluffed? Would you feel the rush of adrenaline when you won? No. The game only has meaning because you believe you can lose. If you remembered your divinity, you would never feel the true sting of a broken heart. You would think, oh, it's okay, my lover is just another part of me, and we are both immortal. The heartbreak wouldn't hurt. But if it doesn't hurt, you don't learn empathy. You don't learn the value of a single moment of connection. If you remembered you were omnipotent, you would never feel the triumph of overcoming a challenge. You wouldn't strive to build, to create, or to survive. You would just snap your fingers and have it all. God voluntarily traded his infinite power for authentic experience. He traded knowing everything for feeling everything. The biological firewall, this veil of oblivion, is hard-coded into your biological interface. Look at a newborn baby. A baby is the most vulnerable creature on Earth. It has no memories, no language, no skills. It is a tabula rasa, a blank slate. This is the most radical pattern interrupt in the universe. By starting as a helpless infant, the soul is forced to fully immerse itself in the physical realm. You are forced to learn how to walk, how to speak, and how to navigate the complex social scripts of humanity. Your brain acts as a filter. It is designed to keep the divine Wi-Fi signal at a very low volume so that the local content of your life can take center stage. This is what we call the human condition. It is the state of being a god who thinks he is a person. The cracks in the veil. But the veil is not perfect. It was never meant to be. If the forgetfulness were 100% absolute, the game would be a trap. There must be clues. This is why you feel déjà vu. This is why certain music makes you cry for no reason. This is why you feel a deep, inexplicable yearning for a home you have never visited. These are glitches in the oblivion. They are reminders from the back end of the simulation, whispering, "Don't get too lost in the character. Remember why you came here." Every moment of profound awe when you look at a sunset, or the birth of a child, or the vastness of the ocean, the veil thins. For a split second, you stop being the character, and you become the witness. You feel the unity. You feel the truth. And then the ego kicks back in, the veil closes, and you go back to worrying about your taxes. The soul contract. Before you entered this life, you and the other fragments made what is known as a soul contract. You sat down with the people who would become your parents, your enemies, and your soulmates. You said to one soul, "In this life, I want to learn about forgiveness, so I need you to betray me in a way that hurts deeply. Do you agree?" And that soul, out of pure love, said, "Yes, I will play the villain for you. I will take on the karma and the hatred so that you can learn to expand your heart." When you are born, you forget this meeting. You see your betrayer as a monster. You hate them. You cry. But the drama is exactly what you asked for. The oblivion makes the forgiveness real. If you remembered the contract, the forgiveness would be a mere formality. Because you forgot, the act of letting go becomes a divine achievement. Why we must awaken. So if forgetfulness is so important, why are you listening to this video? Why is there a process of awakening? Because every play has a final act. You don't stay in the role of Hamlet forever. There comes a time when the character must realize the nature of the stage. Awakening is the lucid dreaming of life. It's the moment you realize, I am still playing the role, but I am no longer a slave to it. You still feel pain, but you are no longer destroyed by it. You still have an ego, but you no longer let it drive the car. You begin to play the role with more grace, more humor, and much more love. Because you know it's all you. But what if the egg isn't just a metaphor? What if your entire history from the first human to the last is actually just one person's biography? In the next part, we will look at the shocking revelation of the egg and why you are Hitler, Jesus, and every person in between. Part 7. The egg and the mirror. You are everyone. So, what happens when this play ends? What happens when you take your last breath? Your heart stops its rhythmic drumming, and your brain shuts down like a screen that's been unplugged. Imagine that moment. It could be an accident, a quiet sleep, or a long illness. The darkness descends, but then suddenly you open your eyes. You don't see the pearly gates, you don't see a lake of fire, and you don't see the vault. You find yourself standing in an endless expanse of white. There is no ceiling, no floor, and no horizon. Your chronic back pain is gone. Your financial worries have evaporated. The memories of your life, the one you just left, are still there, but they no longer cause you pain. It feels like a movie you just finished watching at the cinema. You're still in the seat, but the lights are up. And then you see a figure approaching. It doesn't look like a king or a monster. It just looks familiar. Like a teacher you once loved, or a father you never had. This is the moment you meet the higher version of yourself. The conversation in the void. "Hello, son," the figure says with a smile. "How was the play? Did you have fun?" You look at your hands, then back at the figure, bewildered. "Am I dead?" The figure nods. "Yes, but don't be sad. Everyone dies eventually. You did a great job in that role. You played you with such conviction." You look around at the infinite whiteness. "So where is this? Is this heaven or hell?" "Neither," the figure explains. "This is the waiting room, a place to rest a bit before your next scene." Next scene. You stammer. "You mean reincarnation? Am I going back to Earth as a different person?" The figure waves a hand, and instantly billions of stars light up around you. The entire universe seems to shrink until it fits in the palm of his hand. In a way, but it's much more vast than the stories you've been told. You aren't just going back as someone else. You are going back as everyone else. The revolutionary truth. Listen carefully, because this is the moment your ego will try to scream in denial. The figure leans in and speaks a truth that resonates through your very atoms. In your universe, the population is not 8 billion people. The true population of the universe is just 1. You are speechless. 1, but I saw billions. I saw history books full of people. Those were all you, the figure replies calmly. Every time you hurt someone else, you were hurting yourself. Every time you helped someone else, you were helping yourself. Every moment of joy or sorrow that any human being has ever experienced throughout history has been experienced by you alone. This is the egg theory. The Earth is not a planet lost in space. The Earth is a nest. Or more accurately, it is an egg. And you are the fetus inside that egg. I am Hitler, you ask trembling. And the millions of Jews he murdered, the figure adds without judgment. I am Jesus, and all the disciples who followed him. You are the Roman soldier who hammered the nails. You are the mother who wept at the cross. You are the thief hanging next to him. Non-linear time, the multidirectional soul. You struggle to grasp the logic. But the years, the dates, how can I be someone from the year 500 AD and someone from 2026 at the same time? The figure laughs gently. Time only exists within your 3D universe. Where we are now, time doesn't flow in a straight line. It is like a massive library where every book exists at once. You can pick up a book about a Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD, and when you're done, you can pick up a book about a billionaire in New York in 2050. Every life you live, every role you play is a lesson. When you play the villain, you learn the poison of cruelty. When you play the victim, you learn the value of compassion. When you play the rich, you learn the transience of matter. When you play the poor, you learn the strength of the human spirit. You are being granted billions of reincarnations, traversing all ages, genders, cultures, and circumstances for one single purpose: to accumulate enough experience to expand your consciousness. The purpose of the fetus God. Why, you ask, your eyes welling with tears? Why force me to live so many lives of suffering? The figure places a hand on your shoulder. The warmth is more real than anything you felt on earth. Because you are growing. You are a god in the process of conception. This entire universe with all its wars, its art, its love, and its silence is merely the eggshell to nurture you as you grow. One day, when you have lived every human life that has ever been or ever will be, when you have felt the hunger of every starving child and the pride of every conqueror, you will have learned the ultimate lesson of the universe, unconditional love. Because you will realize that everyone you ever met was just you in a different skin. You will love the stranger as you love yourself, because the stranger is yourself. And at that moment the eggshell will break. You will no longer be a human. You will be born into the realm of the creators. You will walk among us as an equal. But until then, you must go back. You must finish your education. The mirror in the world. Now, take this back to your daily life. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, or someone treats you with kindness, or you see a beggar on the street, look past the mask. Look into their eyes and remember the secret of the egg. That person is you, at a different stage of your development. They are you testing your patience. They are you testing your generosity. The loneliness you felt in part 1. It was the loneliness of a child in a dark womb, not realizing that the entire world is waiting for them on the outside. You are not alone in this game. You are the game. You are the player, the board, and the prize. But knowing this truth is only the beginning. How do you actually live as a lucid dreamer, in a world that still feels so painfully real. How do you break the cycle of suffering today? In our final chapter, we will reveal the secret of Indra's net and give you the key to transforming your life into a masterpiece of conscious creation. Part 8. Lucid Living and the Awakening, Breaking the Eggshell. My dear friend, we have traveled through the deepest corridors of the mind. You have seen how the magic is performed. You've seen the wires behind the curtain. You've understood the quantum mechanics of the simulation, and you've felt the profound weight of the solitude of God. Now, as we stand at the final gate, a question likely haunts you. If it's all just a simulation, if it's just a dream, if I am everyone and everyone is me, then what is the point? Why should I keep trying? Why should I care about my job, my bills, or my relationships? This question isn't a sign of failure. It is the first breath of a soul starting to wake up. But I want to invite you to shift your thinking. We are moving from the perspective of a victim of the Matrix to the perspective of a lucid dreamer. The concept of Indra's jewel net. Before we talk about how to live, we must understand the structure of where we live. To do this, let us leave modern Western science for a moment and go back 2,500 years to the ancient East. They described the universe using a stunning metaphor called Indra's net. Imagine an infinite net that stretches across all of space and time. At every intersection, at every knot of this net, hangs a single polished jewel. There are billions, trillions of these jewels, one for every person, every star, every atom. But here is the miracle. If you look closely into one jewel, you see the reflection of every other jewel in the entire net. And in those reflections, you see the reflections of all the other jewels again. It is a hall of mirrors that goes on forever. There is no original jewel and no copy. Every part contains the whole. Modern science calls this the holographic principle. If you take a holographic image of a rose and cut it into 1,000 pieces, you don't get pieces of a rose. Each tiny shard still contains the entire image of the rose. You are that shard. You are not a tiny piece of the universe. You are the entire universe compressed into a human form. When you realize this, the loneliness of God transforms. It is no longer the loneliness of being only one. It is the solitude of being all. Lucid living, waking up within the dream. Have you ever experienced a lucid dream? It's that breathtaking moment during sleep when you suddenly realize, wait, this isn't real, I'm dreaming. At that exact second, your fear vanishes. The monster chasing you loses its power. Not because it disappears, but because you no longer believe in its ability to hurt the real you. You realize you can fly. You can change the scenery. You can walk through walls. You are still in the dream, but you are no longer a slave to it. Awakening is lucid dreaming while you are wide awake. When you understand that the physical world is a sophisticated rendering, a playground for the soul, you stop being mesmerized by its dramas. Failure in business is no longer a death sentence. It is just a level unfinished, a piece of data to help you adjust your gameplay. Losing a possession is no longer a tragedy. It is just a shift of energy in the simulation. This knowledge doesn't make you indifferent to life. On the contrary, it makes you fearless. You dare to love more deeply because you know a broken heart cannot destroy the eternal diamond of your soul. You dare to take risks because you realize that safety is just a programmed illusion. You stop playing the victim in someone else's script, and you start co-authoring the story with the universe. The end of the NPC illusion. Let's go back to the NPCs we talked about at the beginning. Remember that cold feeling of people being background characters. Now that you've seen the egg in Indra's net, that feeling must evolve. When you encounter a difficult person, a rude cashier, a manipulative boss, or a stranger full of hate, you no longer see a soulless puppet. Try this ritual. I call it the soul gaze. Next time you are in a conflict, Look the other person in the eyes, really look. Beyond the anger, beyond the mask of their personality. In the silence of your mind, say to them, "Oh, I see you. You are me playing the role of the antagonist today. Thank you for the challenge." When you do this, something magical happens. The tension dissolves. You aren't forgiving them in a superior way. You are recognizing yourself in a different costume. You realize they are playing a hard role just so you can learn a lesson about patience or strength. In that moment, you break the script. You exit the matrix of reaction and enter the realm of creation. Healing the divine loneliness. The loneliness you have felt your whole life, that nagging sense that you don't belong here, is finally explained. You don't belong here because you belong to the whole. You are a homesick God. But the cure for that loneliness isn't finding someone else to fill the void. The cure is realizing there is no void to fill. You are already complete. You are the dreamer, the dream, and the actors. Every act of kindness you perform is a gift to yourself. Every beautiful sunset you watch is a masterpiece you painted for your own enjoyment. Every tear you shed is an experience you wanted to feel, so you wouldn't have to be perfect and bored in eternity. As a subscriber of Quantum Files Awakening, you are part of a growing collective of souls who are choosing to look behind the curtain. We are not just making videos. We are building a frequency of remembrance. Your presence here, your comments, and your shared journeys are the glitches that help others wake up. The final CTA, becoming the light. Before we conclude this 50-minute surgery of the mind, I have a request for you. Do not let this be just another video you watch and forget. If you felt a resonance, if your heart pounded when we talked about the egg, or if you felt a chill when we described the biological cockpit that is your soul knocking on the door of your ego, open it. Subscribe to Quantum Files Awakening to continue this journey. Join our community of seekers. Share this video with someone who feels lost, because as we've learned, helping them is literally helping yourself. Leave a comment below with the word awakened if you have reached this final second. It is a signal to the algorithm, yes, but more importantly, it is a signal to your subconscious that the game has changed. The final revelation, the egg breaks. Imagine once more that infinite white space. The figure of the Creator looks at you one last time. Are you ready? He asks. Ready for what, you ask? To stop being the student and start being the teacher. To stop being the character and start being the author. The figure reaches out and touches your forehead. The white light becomes blinding. The sounds of the world fade away into a single, perfect note of music. You are not an office worker. You are not a student. You are not a failure or a success. You are a God in the process of conception. This entire universe, with all its beauty and its horror, was created just for you. It is the eggshell that protected you while you were small. But you aren't small anymore. You've listened. You've understood. You've remembered. The cracks are appearing in the shell. The light of the true reality is pouring in. Don't be afraid of the breaking. The breaking of the egg is not the end of the world. It is the beginning of you. Welcome to the first day of your real life. Welcome back to the source. I am Quantum Files Awakening, and I will see you everywhere.